Hello, everyone, and welcome to calibration training. My name is Corey Whitney, and you find yourselves now inside of our app. We'll be talking about how to get you to become an expert in your own uncertainty. That's our goal for this little project. And what you'll be able to do is to provide accurate subjective estimates for our model building procedures. And we'll get into more detail about that very soon. But what I want for now is to introduce you to the app and get you set up to help us out with filling in some of these values and learning about your own uncertainty. So the objective here of this whole app, of this whole project, is to help you to learn how to make accurate estimates. And when we say accurate, what we mean is that you're able to describe your own uncertainty quantitatively. And this is called calibrated probability assessment. It's inspired by the work by Doug Hubbard and his team on applied information economics, and it has its roots in decision analysis, applied in all types of different fields since the 70s. This is well-established. These are well-established tools. And what we're offering here is just a mechanism for you to learn through the app. So when we're making estimates, estimation is actually subjective, but it can still be accurate. And this is something that you can learn. It's difficult to start with. Estimating uncertainty may even sound rather abstract, but it's something you can learn, and you can improve. Most of us, chances are, if you're in this app looking at this video, you are scientist. And scientists tend to be overconfident. That is to say, we think we know a lot more than we actually do. So in a way, this is an exercise in humility, learning to understand what it is that you don't really know. There are lots of different human biases that can lead us astray, and we won't go into detail about those today, but I will provide a link to talk more about those. You'll find a lot of great information about these in the work by Dr. Yuyun Xu. She's at Australian National University, and she has a Cloudy Shoe website where she introduces some of these topics in a pretty straightforward way. I can also recommend, in addition to Doug Hubbard's book, I can recommend the book by Susan Cain called Quiet. She talks a lot about human biases and how they can affect our ability to interact, to do all kinds of things, but also to provide accurate information, and provide accurate knowledge. So essentially what we're doing here in this calibration exercise is to try to stay aware of different types of human biases, to try to make sure that we overcome those biases and reduce the effects of human biases. Most people, not just scientists, I said scientists earlier, but most people are actually overconfident when assessing their own uncertainty. But it is a skill that you can learn. Measuring your own uncertainty is a skill when we're expressing quantitative values, and it can be taught with measurable improvement. That's something Hubbard's shown in his work, and it's something we are also finding in our own work. And when we talk to you today about calibration or providing estimates, we're mostly going to be talking about the 90% confidence. So that is to say, we're looking to get not 100% of the time a correct value, but roughly 90%. 90% confidence means if you answer 10 questions, 9 of them will be correct. If you state that you're 90% confident, then you'll be right 90% of the time. So we're going to start with group 1, we're calling it, the first group of questions. And we ask you for that 90% confidence. That is to say, provide an upper and lower bound where you feel that the true value is between those two numbers with 90% confidence. So you'll look at an interface that's something like this. And in the interface, you'll be asked to provide a lower bound and an upper bound. So give a number that reflects the lower bound and the upper bound. Typically in the question, we'll tell you the units. So in meters here, And we'll tell you pretty specifically where this measurement was made, because we know the answer. From this particular moment in time, from that particular measurement, we know the answer. So we have a number, and we'd like you to try to provide a lower bound and upper bound where that number is between those two values. And we're going to give you, for each question, you'll see the results here, your lower bound and upper bound, the true value, and we'll talk about your relative error, that is to say how far off you were from the value that we measured. As you go through this app, you can look back at your questions. You can see your progress with metrics, and if you have any questions, we will have some information in the help section. The app, if you're not already there, I assume you are if you're watching this video, but if not, the app is at agtools.app, calibration/calibration app. Please, the first thing we're going to ask you to do actually is to enter your information. Please don't crash our app. Right now, it's a little bit sensitive, so try not to use any of these special values as said, and just please provide one name per field. That makes it easier for us. So your first name and your last name, just choose one if you have several. We're going to collect your scores. We have access to your information, so we're going to be presenting the progress for you as a group, so we won't single anyone out. But this first one is just a preliminary test. We want to see how well everyone's calibrated to begin with. And we will go through this several times. It's an iterative process, so we'll go through this, and we're going to share some tips as we move forward to increase your skill. And you can, as you go through this, you can determine generally your level of calibration by comparing your actual outcomes to your expected outcomes. That is to say, we're asking you to give 90% confidence, so you can see if you get 9 questions out of 10, you're doing pretty well. But we'll talk about that at the group level in just a minute. So what I'd like you to do now is to go ahead and fill in your name and answer the first group of questions.